Our kids were ripped away. 6 years old. You're gone. Your parents don't get to see you until maybe you're 18.
Next thing I knew, I was laying on the floor. I got this wicked backhand across the mouth. And of course, I fell on the floor. And I remember that men saying to me that the only language spoken here was English.
The priest sexually abused me. I was about 8 years old.
Sometimes I feel like I wish I was never born.
I am standing on the site of the former residential school in Fort Alexander, Manitoba. In 1857, the Government of Canada passed a law establishing residential school for Aboriginal children. All children ages 7 to 15 had to attend, often forcibly removed from their homes and communities. The Government of Canada wanted to assimilate Aboriginal people into Canadian society by taking away their traditional culture and languages. Taking the children away from their parents seemed the easiest way to accomplish this. As if taking young children away from their parents wasn't bad enough, stories of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse at these residential schools began to emerge.
Kids, young people today have an awful lot more opportunity to do as they wish, to do as they want, because for us that went to residential schools, we did not have those opportunities that you guys have today. When we went to residential school, we were always told what to do, when to do it. We did not have choices, that the younger generation today are available to them. There's you probably heard a lot of elders and people older than you that there's a saying, you can be what you want to be. Yes. When I was going to school, it wasn't so. You know what we were told when I was in residential school?
What?
That we were no good. We probably wouldn't amount to much.
And then I seen my brothers too, but I had to look back and I said, there's my brothers. And I just gonna get up again and go see them. Oh, I got pulled again, by my hair. And did it ever hurt? Because my hair was nice and long. And for doing that, they took me in the room. And there they stripped me out of my identity, I call it, because in our culture, our hair, we let it grow long as a Anishinaabe. That's what I seen with my granny. I always seen my granny with long hair, braided all the time, And that's how I remember. And that's how I always thought. I idolized my grandma because she taught us a lot of things. She always spoke in our language, and that's what I remembered. And when they cut my hair, that hurt me again. That was hurt again. That hurt me so much. I can still feel a little bit today, but I'm trying to let go of all this stuff.
People don't understand. We had residential school. Our kids were ripped away. 6 years old. You're gone. Your parents don't get to see you until maybe you're 18. We had the 60s scoop. I have a brother, right at birth, gone out to the States. He's in his 40s.
What was your days like in the residential school?
My days in residential school were very hard, not like days like today. They were very strict, very, very strict too. We get straps, we talk about things with our friends and talk about Indians to my friends, and they'd pull my ears or slap my mouth, and and we'll kneel in the corner for half a day, sometimes an hour. And nuns broke my fingers because I was not listening.
And one of the most beautiful thing, about the younger kids going to school today, they get to go home to mom and dad every day. We did not have that opportunity in a residential school because we stayed there, we slept there, and that's where we worked. We worked there. We didn't get to go home to mom and dad. I honestly can't even begin to understand, what my mom and dad went through when we were taken away from them. I can't imagine, what they went through, because tearing up a family like that, can have a very devastating impact. So I never talked to my mom and my dad about residential schools because they too went to the same residential school that I went. So what they experienced, I don't know. They never told us. And what I experienced, well, they didn't know because I never told them. I didn't get the opportunity to tell them.
And I have some scars here where I got the nun took my head and hit the steel sinks we had, big long steel sinks, because we didn't do our jobs good. Some nuns were rough with us, and like I said, we were kids. So.
The first morning that I got up and lined up for breakfast, my first day of school, I saw, Larry Morso? Mm-hmm. That was the first guy I bumped into. So in the language, I asked him, what's his name? Next thing I knew, I was laying on the floor. I got this wicked backhand across the mouth. And of course, I fell on the floor. And I remember that nun saying to me that the only language spoken here was English. That's when I decided I'm going to learn this language real quick in order for me to survive. I did not want another slap like that ever again. It wasn't my fault I didn't know English very well. And then, of course, seeing not my buddy, but I saw this guy and I asked him his name, but I asked him in the language. And somebody comes along and slaps you and it wasn't just a little slap.
I was about 8 years old. We were given chores. Okay? We always had chores every week. We had to do certain chores and rotated them around. And there's one priest, we had to go clean up the rooms and that. And I don't know if I should get in depth with this because it needs to be told. The priest sexually abused me. I was only 8 years old. He sexually abused me and that I blocked out of my memory about 3 times. Because after that, you just block it out, right? You're not even there. Just whatever.
The trauma of being taken from their parents and suffering abuse at the hands of strangers far from home has had a devastating impact on generations of Aboriginal people.
Residential school wiped out my mother's ability to be a mom. But the effects that she had to live with, I had to live with. There were many times in my first 16 years of life, I was beaten every day. And if she was upset with someone, I'm the one who got the beatings. It got to the point where I took a lot of the beatings, so my siblings didn't get those beatings. My mom constantly reminded me that I ruined her life. She drank every day. I've had a gun in my face. I've stared a barrel right in my face, a 22. In the last second, she dropped the gun, put 22 bullets in the dog that was standing beside me. I suffered alcoholism also, and that was because that was the only thing I learned. The only thing I knew. If I had a problem, let's get drunk, we'll forget about it. I was a drunk. I'm a recovering alcoholic to this very day. I fight those demons. But I'm strong enough, I'm brave enough to say no, I don't need that alcohol, because that alcohol did nothing but cause me trouble. When I lost my son, I was drinking. For the longest time, I had to carry that guilt that I was not the mom I wanted to be. I was not there for my son.
I hugged and I kissed Jason every day and every night. One day when he was 11 years old, I couldn't do it. It just, I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't know why. And he even came up to me and asked me, "Dad, what's the matter? What's wrong with me?" I didn't know what to say. But after going through what I went through in 1992, my healing, I found out why. And I fixed it. Today, my son is 36 years old. I can hug him and I kiss him. And I don't feel ashamed, I feel happy, I feel proud. Because I was able to deal with what happened to me in the boarding school. That's what stopped me from, hugging and kissing my son when he was 11 years old.
As in abusive relationships with men, because I thought it was the norm. Because being hit all the time in school. And I was getting kind of used to the lickings and that. Because I got lickings, my hair was cut off. It wasn't because I was being bad. I don't think I was being bad. I was just a yappy kid that wanted to know things, I was always asking questions. Why is this and why is that? And they took it the wrong way. I wanted to know. I wasn't allowed to express myself. And, I was a very expressive kid. As I found out later in life, when I started my healing journey like Pat. Because I call it my years of darkness, where I worked at that path, okay? I drank a lot, especially on weekends. I used to drink myself till, I'd say my last thoughts, and this is so sad. I hope I never get up in the morning. That was my last thoughts. I hope I never wake up in the morning.
I guess they were just mean. I guess that's all they were too, because I guess we were the guinea pigs. I guess emotionally embarrassed. I drank a lot and mean. Like I like to fight after, like fight other guys and and I got once. I don't know. I just stayed in there all the time until I got some a little bit of counseling from a guy in Winnipeg, and he said it doesn't take a day to heal all the years you've been in there and getting punished, abused, and it'll take the rest of your life or even till you die, he told me so. There was an elder that told me this.
In spite of the devastating impact of residential school on Aboriginal people, many have begun to overcome the past through a personal journey of healing.
I thought to myself, you know what? I gotta go see these nuns. I gotta go see these nuns and see what's the ones that were alive. I found them, I went to meet them. For months they put me off, and I knew they were putting me off. But I was darn determined to go and see them. I went to see them. So they sent me upstairs to see the one nun. She got out of the elevator. Something happened. There was just a transformation, something. That nun that came walking down, and me, okay, she had a cane, like my cane. And the way she was walking, I seen this scared little girl walking towards me. I seen myself, but that was a nun, right? And then when I went to her, she was scared. She was scared of me because she thought I was there for vengeance or whatever. And I just gave her a hug. I told her I'm okay. That's all I said to her is I'm okay. I didn't want to say anything else. I didn't have to tell her, oh, I'm this and that. I achieved this and I achieved that. I just told her I'm okay. Just because she was one of the ones that called me a rotten apple. You know? And that made me feel so good that I was able to do that. Because that's called forgiving. And that's one of our teachings is forgiving.
All those being in the residential school, you can't take away. So it'll always be in me because I was in there and it'll never go away. But it's very, I'm working on it. So as time goes by and I tried so hard to forget about it and still can't. I still don't. Still doesn't go away. It's still always be in my mind. It's one thing I'll never be in until I die. You know what I mean? Today, I am proud to be a native, and that's one thing they never took away from me was my native in me, because I am native and I always will be native.
My daughter's hurting and I'm not listening to her. She's wanting, love. Because I didn't know how to love her. And like Pat, like hugging and that. She'd always try to come and hug me. I said, go play with your friends. Little did I know I was hurting her by doing that. And what hit me deep in there was she said something like, you're not your mom. And I don't want to, as much as I love you, I don't want to be like you. So I want to break this cycle, right? So, and she added, it's a really good letter that does things to people. But that day, when I got that letter, that was it. I says, I'm out of here. I sold everything I had. I had a beautiful home. And they had a very nice house. I sold everything for cheap. And just practically gave everything away. So I moved to BC. There, I got my education. I thought, I'm going to focus on going back to school to see what I know, to see if I'm really dumb or what these nuns taught me. I said, oh, she's stupid, You're never going to amount to anything. And they only taught us up to grade 8. They never taught us that there was university, that we could go to university. Grade 8, and that was it. I was always a reader all my life. And by Christmas time, I was at the top level. I was at the provincial level. And I says, and here I thought I was this dumb kid, this dumb woman all her life. I didn't know nothing, but just from reading helped me a lot. And I graduated my grade 12. On top of that, I was an A+ student. My GPA was 4 point something. Can you believe that? I left grade 8.
I didn't like what I saw when I used to look in the mirror. I didn't like Patrick Breer, what he did, what he represented. I put a good front to the community, okay? But deep down inside, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. Today, you look at Patrick Breer and you talk to him, it's really me. Because I've walked away, from that stuff I used to do. I started a new life, and my wife is happy about it because she's the one, that felt the brunt of it, after I got married. In spite, of what we were told, in spite of what we learned in residential school, I think, we are good people. Those people that were in the residential school and told us that we were nothing and that we didn't mean anything, that we wouldn't amount to anything, they were wrong. They were very, very wrong. We are a people. We are a good people. And we have a lot to offer, to the outside society. We have an awful lot more to offer to society. It's too bad it happened, in our lifetime. And, but here we are. We survived. We're still here. And, we have an awful lot to offer to the outside society if they want to hear about it. Okay? Not only about a residential school. There's an awful lot more that they can learn, and they will learn from us if they take the opportunity, to listen and to ask. We're there.
When my son passed away, that started me on my journey of who was I? Who did I need to be? When my boy passed away, I was working for a law firm back then. And I was coming to work still drunk in the mornings. The lawyer I worked with called me in as a friend. As a friend, he says, I'm worried. I have a friend who's a psychologist. I want you to talk to her. I went and met with that lady, and it was the first time that I had to realize, who was I? The question she said to me was, Sharon, are you Anishinaabe or are you a white lady? She said, I can't help you until you decide who you are. That was my first step on my journey. I needed to know who I was, where I came from, who my family was. I needed to identify with someone. I went back that next week. I'm Anishinaabe, and I'm a proud Anishinaabe woman. I love my people. I love all our kids. There's good, bad, and ugly in everybody. Right here is my good, bad, and ugly. But I've learned that I can love people. The 7 basic teachings is our way of life. They always say being traditional is a religion. It's not a religion. It's a way of life. You respect people. You love people. You be humble. You have courage. All those things are part of our everyday life. And how we choose to walk on that path is our choice. It's because I refuse to be a victim of anything anymore. A victim of residential school, a victim of alcohol, a victim of abuse. I refuse to be a victim of anything. And now, in the position that I'm in, thank goodness I have a job, I'm able to show and tell my community members that, you know what, if I can come from such a bad place, anybody can. Both my husband and I have degrees. My husband is a high school teacher. I work for a living, and it's rare, but it does happen in our communities where children are raised on the reserve. They graduate. Both my sons are done college. My oldest son's in university. We can do it. We can do it. Our young people can be anything they want to be.
The journey of healing for Aboriginal people is not over, but with each story that is told comes greater awareness and understanding and hope of a better future for us all.